For many people, their first memory is a happy one. A joyful moment with a family member, a fun sleepover at a friend's house, a triumph over Mario Sunshine. I'm not so lucky. My first memory is being burned alive. When I was a 6-year-old, I fell backwards to a fire pit. When they pulled me out, my arm was coated in white hot coals, essentially forming an oven, melting my skin. For the next 2 weeks, I was in the hospital receiving skin graft surgery, which, although a beautifully regenerative surgery, is an extremely painful one. By my side that whole time were my parents. And whenever I would wake in the middle of the night, screaming from the burn, or when they would cut the medical mesh off of my newly grafted leg and I would cry in agony, my mother would hold my head and say that this too shall pass. At first, I didn't believe her. I thought when I returned to school, everyone would think of me as this deformed monster, but I was wrong. The community couldn't have been more supportive. And for the next 4 years, they almost helped me forget. And then we moved. When we moved to the town of Cochrane, not only was I the new kid, but I was a physically deformed kid. Pretty easy target. They called me Frankenstein. Freak. A word that, to this day, brings me back to being that scared little 11-year-old. There were days when it got so bad that I would refuse to get out of bed because I knew that no matter what my parents did to me for punishment, it wouldn't be nearly as bad as what I got at school. But one thing could get me to move. When my mother would gently touch my shoulder and say that this too shall pass. At first, I wanted it to pass naturally, but oftentimes that's not how it goes. So I made it pass. I took the SSATs, an entrance exam to a private school in South Calgary, and after months of arduous study, I passed. I got in. For the next 6 years, I couldn't have been happier. I was in a community that accepted me for who I was, scars and all. I had a new family, one that loved me just as much as I loved them. However, as bad times pass, so must the good. I came here. Like a lot of first-year students, I had a rough go of it. I was plagued by loneliness. I had this idea that the city was against me and I had lost purpose. And well, quite frankly, as you all know, since a lot of you have been through it, it's tough. You've got to endure. And I did for the first year. But by the first semester of second year, I couldn't hack it anymore. I got in my truck and I drove halfway up to Whistler. Found a good embankment off the side, overlooking beautiful ocean, and wrote up a quick note. So I got out of my truck to go put that note under a rock so someone would know what had happened. The thought going through my brain was not that of my struggles, nor was it the prospect of driving a truck off a cliff. It was the simple phrase, "This too shall pass." So I came down off that ledge. And although it wasn't easy at first, it has passed. Today, I've got a great group of friends. I find purpose in day-to-day life. I'm happy for the first time since grade 12. Now, I know a lot of people here have been on that ledge. Unfortunately, I know that many people will end up there someday. But if you ever find yourself there, please remember the wisdom of my mother. Remember the wisdom of Teresa Guthrie. Remember that this too shall pass. Thank you.